Welcome to the Tom Azebly Show here in Philadelphia on 1210 WPHT every Saturday from 8 to 9. You can listen on Odyssey, iHeart, stream on YouTube. If you want to call in and talk with me, 855-839-1210. The Weekend Crew, This Week in Music History, 11 to 1 a.m. with Phil Lomquist. Barry Sable and Friends tomorrow, 10 to 11. And then Sunday, 1 in the morning to 2, the three disgruntled taxpayers, that's Matt DeSantis, Justin Otero, and Andrew Torres, are producers now with their own show on Sunday nights. You got to check that out. And my producer, Sean Sereno. Sean, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good
Are you
today. How
there?
about you, Tom?
Good. For a minute there, I got scared. I'm like, oh my
Yeah,
God,
like
I'm
so,
flying this
man, I don't
ship.
want to talk too much about our station, but we got some issues going on with our on
Uh,
button for our producer.
uh,
So it's like I gotta
yeah.
like slam on the button because someone's heavy-handed and broke one of the consoles. So
Just what
unfortunately,
you
like
need
I
when
gotta
you come
push
in
the buttons
early.
in extra stronger.
Yeah, I get it. You come
Yeah,
in
it's
early Saturday morning.
crazy,
This is what
man.
you
Like
have to
you got to
deal
see
with.
all the crazy stuff that's going on.
No, I get it. That's why I sit on this side of the window. Anyway, Sean, good to have you here.
Yeah, great to be
I
here.
read something. Sean, and you can take this. They say friendships are built on, and it's a triangle. It's consistency, vulnerability, and positivity. And the vulnerability, I think, is more just trust. You got to be able to tell your friends stuff. But these are the foundations, this triangle, for a good friendship. It's also, those three things are also important for a political party: consistency, trust or vulnerability, and positivity. And I think where we're losing it today in the Republican Party is there's not a lot of positivity. It's a lot of whining and crying. And whenever I get a chance to throw Tucker, MTG, and that's Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massey under the bus, they're starting a new party. Maybe I'll get to that later. But there is a lot of negativity, even among conversations among Republicans. It's all doom and gloom. And this is my point: no team, no organization, if they're negative, no one, and the job of politics is recruiting more people into your party, into your belief system. That's where the energy comes from. And if you're negative all the time, it's not going to work. It's not going to attract people. Then you're going to start fighting amongst yourselves because negativity just breeds contempt. And there's a lot of great things going on, and we got to talk more about it. I'm not Pollyanna at all. Believe me, I look at the world as it is. But negativity doesn't bring anything to the game. It doesn't help. There should be some of it. Obviously, it's even in a relationship, there's going to be some negativity you talk about. But man, we're going 24/7 with negativity, and that is not going to work for the Republicans. It's not going to work for MAGA. So we really we got to go in a different direction because no one's attracted to that. Now, what I am very interested in is my next guest. His name is Elliot Ackerman. I'm bringing him on at 8:15. He's a best-selling author. He's a novelist. He writes for The Atlantic. He writes for the Free Press, which I like. I have other guests on from the Free Press. It's not like a hard write. It's kind of an interesting cultural, political, kind of runs the middle, has interesting, but I think they have a good understanding how the left has lost their mind. The Atlantic definitely leans left. But Elliot Ackerman, he wrote in the Free Press about the cynical coverage of the conditions on the USS Abraham Lincoln. That's an aircraft carrier. It's been deployed a very long time. 7 months is standard at war. They've been out there 9 months, but the press has gotten a hold of it, and they're using it to beat Donald Trump over the head and the Republicans, Pete Hegseth, everybody, us, everyone. So this is a big story for them. So Elliot Ackerman wrote an interesting article. And then what I like to do when I find a guest, if I see an article I like and I want to talk about it, which we're going to do in the show, I like to know the source who wrote it. I thought it was interesting. He writes for The Atlantic. And I was like, wow, that was an interesting perspective from a writer who writes for I'm forgetting the Atlantic. It caught my attention, but I always like to know the source. I like to read who the source is, like what's their experience in life. That's how I dig into someone. And what I found out about him, very interesting. Uh, he uh, he had an interesting background. His dad was a very wealthy Wall Street person. He grew up in England. He was a skate rat. Came back at 15. He went to England because his dad probably ran the finance desk over there for one of the big Wall Street firms. His father's got a whole interesting background too. But he would then go on to come home, go to the Georgetown Day School. That is a very Georgetown Day School, then to Tufts. Both of these places are ecosystems of the left, okay? But that's where he went to school. But when he's up at Tufts, he becomes ROTC for Navy. The bottom line is he would join the Marine Corps, become a lieutenant, and he would win the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, and a Purple Heart. That's an interesting resume. Most people I bring on just because of the article, but when I dug into him, I'm saying, wow, this is an interesting resume. He's written a best-selling novel. He's a writer. That's what he is. He's a reporter, and he writes novels, military novels, that bring in a lot of real life type of situations. And obviously, he has an understanding. And let me tell you, winning the Silver Star in Fallujah, where they were going door to door, that's why I became very interested, not only in his article, but in him. And Elliot is going to be joining us at 8:15. Okay. Summary last week, I want to bring this up. I was going over who would I pick for president right now in a crisis or whatever. If I could pick the guy, if I was king, who would I put in? And I compared Rubio, J.D. Vance, and DeSantis. And in the end, I went with DeSantis. I thought Rubio, good guy. He's quick on his feet, lived higher than my expectations from when he was a senator till he became Secretary of State. I've become very impressed with him on his feet. One of the critiques, I don't know if he has the intellectual firepower or that kind of economic knowledge, so I kind of put him to the side. J.D. Vance, definitely smart and talented, but there's something about he's a little bit odd for me. And I also worry about a childhood at that level of dysfunction, not that you can't overcome it, but I don't know, that affects you in life. I don't, so I put him third. I would take all three. I support all three, but I went with DeSantis. One of my critiques on DeSantis, one of my negatives, was I didn't like that he didn't have enough private sector experience in business. Never mind, he was a lawyer. He was in Fallujah himself, advising the SEALs. He's got a good military background. He's a brilliant lawyer, runs a complicated state. But I complained about his private sector, and I have a loyal fan out there in Seattle who wrote me, and I know his business resume, which is quite impressive. And what he said is, I'm not worried at all about DeSantis's lack of private sector experience. He said, what DeSantis knows how to do, he knows how to make government work. And that's what we should be concerned about. Because I always lean into what that private sector experience is, like Donald Trump, who had plenty of it. So he understands finance, building, infrastructure, and how to do business. And to me, that's always important for a leader, especially if they're going to, take over the biggest economy in the world, the biggest military. But he said, no, DeSantis knows how to make government work. He knows how to make government run. And who have not proved they know how to do that is Marco or J.D. Vance. Neither one of them have been in a position to make government work. I mean, I know they've been senators, but that's not making government work. You're just one of 100 guys, and it's a nice fancy place to hang your hat. Considered one of the greatest country clubs in the country is the U.S. Senate. But that's a very important point about DeSantis, and I appreciate my Seattle fan who has to listen on the Odyssey app because he's not getting up at 5 a.m. to listen to the show, but you can too. If you don't hear it now, you can always catch up later on the Odyssey or iHeart radio app. Let me get in a couple other things I wanted to go through was the The five biggest stories. I always like to, I get up early in the morning on Saturdays and I like to look at what are the five biggest things going on in the country, in the world right now. U.S. Canada tariff war has it's escalated. Last minute, the trade talks collapsed. It's right now we're going into a trade war with Canada. Who knows? In a couple hours, maybe they'll fix it. But the expectation was this was almost near wrapped up. Had to do some of the finer details, but anyway, talks last night collapsed, and so where we go from there, from here, our economy is so much bigger than Canada's, much bigger. So they will take a hit severely as we go into this trade war. Now, our side will, the media, the anti-Trump, the anti-tariff movement, they're gonna make it look like the United States is going to crumble because our trade deal with Canada is just going to wreck the economy. It's going to wreck any affordability, going in the wrong direction. Trade wars are never good, but Canada deserves one. And I am for the last year and a half, Canada does not like the United States. I mean, they were once a very stoic, pragmatic people. They were polite, they were funny. But you want to talk about a country controlled by elite woke globalists. It's not a very big country from a population standpoint. Nearly all 40 million of them live right along our border, and trade is very important to them. But I don't think they're a good friend. I don't think they're going to be a good friend in the future. I think they're connected to socialist elites in Europe and the global elites. And I'm not conspiracy theory. I just think that's where their leadership's kind of sentiment is. That's where they want to be. They will work with China. They are not a good friend. And I think we should take a very strong stance against them. I mean, we used to run around doing color revolutions in Georgia and Ukraine, thousands of miles around the world. Now, their heads will explode in Canada if I say we should do a color revolution there. That means that we go in and undermine their government and try to put in people we like. But one thing we can do economically, and I'm not calling for that, but I do not like Canada, and my mother's Canadian. I have a ton of relatives in Canada. I spent my summers there. But one thing I am for is whatever economic thing we can do to apply pressure on them, and not just specifically to get the best trade deal, but to teach them to be a good neighbor and stay away from the people we don't like what's ever coming through the northern border. That is illegal. They need to stop that. Whatever deals they want to do with China, we want to stop that. And whatever oppressiveness that they're doing to free speech up there, their migration policies are horrible. They have a lot of people from the Islamic world, and it's good. They have a future of really kind of figuring all that out. Because if you let in too many people of one culture, that with a religion that really believes that the religion overrules individual rights and whatever the government tells them, you have to be careful. Canada has not been careful at all. But I would say this, their provinces have a lot of independence and power. Even though their country has a central government, but the provinces have a lot of power, as do states to a certain extent in the United States, and they need more. But in the United States, our states do have a lot of flexibility and freedom. Thank God you have 50 different choices. I will say this, though. We should try to get deals, individual deals with Saskatchewan, Alberta. We really have to be disruptive up there. And listen, it sucks to say that about a neighbor that everyone thought was the greatest, nicest cousin in the world, but they're not. And with that, I hope if they can't fix this, if they really want to play, we play hard against them. I'd say play hardball until we get what we want. That's my opinion. I doubt it'll go that far. Hopefully it'll be settled, but I'd put the pressure on to make them comply. With that, we'll go to break. We'll be back with our guest, Elliot Ackerman.
Back to school season is here, and Dollar General has everything you need to start the school year strong. Don't forget to grab a pair of bright yellow sunglasses from the Yellow Glasses Project for just $2. Every purchase makes a difference, with 100% of proceeds helping support teachers, classrooms, and nonprofit organizations working to improve reading and literacy skills across the country. Stop by Dollar General today and shine bright with the Yellow Glasses Project, available now at Dollar General. The Yellow Glasses Project is a program of the Dollar General Literacy Foundation.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Tonight's 6:05 Phillies-Cardinals game can be heard on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. The Phillies are on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT tonight.
A small business affirmation from Progressive. Plumbers, today will be a good day. You will be profitable. Your clients will be nice. No one will stand over you and tell you how to fix the thing they actually hired you to fix. You will also feel at peace after switching to Progressive, America's #1 commercial auto insurer. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, #1 commercial auto insurer from the NAIC's 2024 National Premium Data.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Here's the deal. The government is over $38 trillion in debt, which means the IRS isn't slowing down. And the tax code is complex and unforgiving. So it's not surprising if you're one of the millions of Americans that owe back taxes to the IRS. Unfortunately, they're the world's most powerful collection agency, with the ability to garnish your wages, seize your bank accounts, and even take your home or business. But don't be stressed or worried any longer. We're Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. We have resolved over $3 billion in tax debt for our clients. Our award-winning professionals deal with the IRS every single day, protecting our clients and preparing them for the best possible resolution. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, give Optima a call today.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Good for you and good for the community. Silk is proud to partner with the Yellow Glasses Project, Dollar General's literacy fund for students. Pick up your $2 sunglasses and show your support. Then reach for Silk Original Almond Milk, packed with 50% more calcium than dairy milk and 5 essential nutrients. Find Silk Original Almond Milk in the refrigerated section today.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hi, I'm Connie Urkel, and I'm here with my husband, Guy. We're excited to be here and tell you our great success with Crash Proof.
It feels great knowing that I hear other people talking about, oh, the market's going down, I lost this much money, and they're all fretting over it, and we don't have that fret at all. We are very comfortable knowing that the interest that we've made, we're not going to lose it. It's just going to compound and create more money as we move forward.
This year, one of our vehicles brought in over 18%, and they weren't charging us fees to do this. Even when the market crashes or goes down, we're not anxious about what is going on around us politically and globally.
I encourage you to get involved, give them a call, and set up a meeting. Not that I want to wish my life away, but I'm looking forward to next March to see how much more money we made.
Tune in to the Crash Proof Retirement Show with Joanne Small Canella and Tracy Stillman today at 11 a.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Free speech lives here with Kale and Company weekday mornings on Odyssey's #1 talk station, 1210 WPHT.
Join Tom Saturday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. on Talk Radio. 1210 WPHT.
Welcome back to the Tom Azebly Show, here every Saturday from 8 to 9 on Philadelphia 1210 WPHT. Well, I told you I was bringing on Elliot Ackerman about an article he wrote, The Cynical Coverage of Conditions on the USS Abraham Lincoln. And I read the article and I said, I'd like to have that writer, that journalist on as a guest. But then what I like to do is find out a little bit more about my guest. So I dug into Elliot's resume and wow, I was quite surprised. His father was a big Wall Street executive. He's a great story in himself at Drexel Burnham Lambert. Elliot spent his childhood in England. I believe he was a skate rat over there. Then he returns to the Georgetown Day School, goes to Tufts. These are very places where what I found interesting is he went Navy ROTC. These ecosystems, Georgetown Day School and Tufts, definitely places of the left, I would say the ecosystem is. And here he is at both these schools, and he decides to become a naval officer, then a Marine. He will then go on to do 5 tours in Iraq and I believe in Afghanistan. He would not only win the Silver Star, which in Fallujah of all places, a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart, doing 5 stores. He's also, he's a New York Times bestseller. He's written books, they have like war themes, military themes. Some go out into the future. He wrote one with Admiral James Stavridge, very well-known admiral. So he's got, and I'll give you his books and I'll put it in the write-up after the show. But he's a New York Times bestseller list. So from seeing one article he wrote, I'm like, wow, I got to get this Elliot Ackerman on my show. Elliot, welcome to the Tom Azebly Show.
Thanks a lot for having me on, Tom, and I appreciate that intro.
Yeah, I want to make sure, sometimes you do this research online and they can send you in a bad direction. Did I miss anything in that introduction, or do you need to add anything? Because it's quite a resume.
No, nothing is. I'd say I'm a very proud skateboarder. So skate rat, I'm very proud of it.
I get it. And the reason I had felt the liberty, I referred as a skate rat. I was in that business in the 80s and 90s making apparel for the skate and surf industry. And no one minded the term skate rat, especially if you were a skate rat. So I thought I'd add that in because it says something about you. And I'm sure you learned a lot from living in that skating community, and some of the stuff you guys perform is unbelievable. But the ecosystem that you went into, with the Georgetown Day School and Tufts, how was it becoming, and we're going to get to the article in a minute, and I'm going to cover a little bit more of your life, but how you went from that type of environment to doing ROTC. What inspired you to do that at Tufts?
I was, much younger, and I wanted a job, or whether I was good at my job or bad at my job mattered. So I guess, in other words, I wanted a lot of responsibility at a young age, and I think one of the things our military does is it trusts young people to have that type of responsibility. So when I was 24 years old as a Marine second lieutenant in the infantry, and I was in charge of 46 people, and that was an incredible honor and opportunities. So I think I just was craving that and saw the opportunity for it and decided it was something I wanted to do.
And I'm glad that you explained that. I'm going to circle back because I want to ask you more beyond the article you wrote. I have other questions just because I found, like I said before, I found your resume very interesting. But you're a good person to speak on the title of your article, The Cynical Coverage of the Conditions on the USS Abraham Lincoln. It's gotten very political. So I read that article, and everything in today's environment is a political war. That's just the way it is, and I accept that. But what's your overall take on it? And if you could just break down that article for the listeners.
Sure. I think, the article and kind of the controversy around the Abraham Lincoln, much of it was hinged on when it was leaked that there was a suicide attempt off the carrier. And then it immediately, their deployment became a political football. But the reality is for decades, across multiple administrations, Republican and Democrat, military suicide and veteran suicide has been a really tough issue. More than 500 active duty service members kill themselves on average every year, and that number skyrockets when you look at the veterans community. So the fact that the broader media at this point was choosing to focus on veteran suicide and the suicide attempt of a single service member to sort of score political points, to me just seems vulgar, and we shouldn't do that. We're better than that.
Yeah, they tried to position it, and I read that statistic that you said. How many active duty take their lives a year? Is it close to 500, did you say?
It's around, it obviously varies year to year, but it's about 500, and this has been going on, again, across Republican and Democratic administrations for years.
Right. So I what they tried to do is to make, the press where the narrative was this was an outlier for something like this to happen on that ship.
Absolutely. And, and it's sort of reminding you, like, Tom, you're saying at the beginning of the segment, like I went to Georgetown Day School or to Tufts University, which are definitely viewed as sort of very left-leaning institutions today. But when I went there, they were certainly institutions that sort of leaned a little bit left, but we lived in a society that wasn't as radically politicized as everything is today. Every part of our lives is political. And I don't know how we do it, but I think we're better as a society when we cannot look at things, at every little thing through a political lens, and can kind of just look at it as, one people, the American people, and everything doesn't have to be about scoring political points.
Yeah, no, it is frustrating. And you know what, Elliot, I agree. I went to a very kind of liberal arts college. My brothers did. But there wasn't, you just described it. It was a different climate back then. And I'm older than you, and it was probably even more different when I went there. But everything is political. But it's kind of like, and you would know this as a warrior, it's kind of like that's where the fight is. It's hard to avoid it. How do you avoid it? Meaning, like, it's like you're in the bar and everyone's like, we're going. I find it so hard to avoid the conflict.
I think it's extremely difficult. And if I had a 90-second answer for you on how we fix all of our political problems in the U.S. and get rid of this, hyper-partisanship, I'd probably be going out trying to affect that change. I think in my small universe that I can control, I'll write about it. And, I think the media can help and members of the media can do their job. And I think our job in the media is to do our best to kind of call, to be an honest referee, call balls and strikes. And when we don't do that, we don't serve the American people well, and we don't serve our industry and the media well.
And you're right. And what I would advise people, it's your own personal responsibility so when you can to avoid it, you avoid it. So, and I do encourage that because I was saying earlier in the show, the negativity, even within whatever side you're on, even the negativity and the fighting within each group is now getting out of control. Meaning, like, it's not even against the other side, it's all internal. But here's something I wanted to bring up, because I think your article hit on this. Kristen Holmes from CNN, they're having an event at the White House, at the Trump White House, and they got the kid that everyone saw the video of, the 16-year-old, the lifeguard. He rescues the 10-year-old, and he hangs on to the kid, and it's a great story. At that point, Kristen Holmes of CNN, and I thought this might be common for them, no matter what's going on, whatever the presentation is, the news can always just throw different questions. But historically, that doesn't happen on these feel-good events. But Kristen Holmes from CNN, threw that, what happened on the Abraham Lincoln, she threw that right into the middle of that with the 16-year-old and the 10-year-old. And I would think that's a little bit, when we talk about her as a reporter, a little personal responsibility there. And I would say that for a Republican too. Like, people got to discipline themselves a little bit with this.
I think that's right. And I think, I really like what you said. I think it comes down to just our individual relationships. Next time you're sitting at the dinner table, or, you bump into an old friend and you start talking about whatever you're talking about and politics comes up. And I think we've all probably been there, where we can feel like, oh, okay, I probably disagree with this person about X, Y, or Z. Do you really want to have that fight? And what are you going to get from that fight? And you can't in this world, can't reasonable people disagree about things? And I think they certainly can. But too often in our politics, what we do is we sort of turn the person across the table from us into, the other. And when we treat them that way, and we need to win the argument for whatever reason, we kind of take away a little bit of their humanity. And so I agree. I think the first place it starts is on a personal level.
Hey, Elliot, with that, if you don't mind, I'd really like to hold you on through the break. Will you come back on with me? We'll go to break for a few minutes. We'll come right back. I got a lot of questions for you.
Sure thing. My pleasure.
Okay, we'll go to break. We'll be back with Elliot Ackerman, Silver Star winner, United States Marine Corps. We'll be back.
Swung on, hit deep, down the line and right if it's fair, and it is.
Saturday Night Baseball is back as the St. Louis Cardinals are in town, and you'll hear it on 1210.
Harper swings, hits one deep right center field, and that one is on its way back-to-back game time.
Be here Saturday starting at 5:30 for the Phils and the Cards from Citizens Bank Park.
Swung on, line deep to left field. Strong on back, he won't catch that one.
Saturday night on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
That'll be 54-52.
Perfect. Grab the bags, honey.
Mom, why do you always check your phone before we pay?
I'm just claiming my cash back on the Upside app. Since we're getting a $10 bonus on groceries here and we filled up the car on the way, we already earned enough this morning to pay for some extra treats you can bring to school this week.
Wait, so the app pays for snacks?
Not exactly, but the cash I earn on stuff we need helps us pay for the stuff we want. It's just a little win for our family every week.
With Upside, you can earn cash back on your everyday essentials and back-to-school favorites. The free app also gets you cash back on routine purchases, like gas and dining out, at more than 100,000 locations nationwide. No points, no rebates, just cash back straight to your wallet. Download the free Upside app and use promo code CLASS10 to get a $10 bonus on your first purchase. That's promo code CLASS10 to get a $10 bonus. Remember, use promo code CLASS10.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Recently, our company's softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Dale's a loser. I play to win. Like early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Bet365. Winning is everything. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Pennsylvania. T&Cs apply. In-app only.
Celebrate the legendary voice of the birds, Merrill Reese, at Merrill Live. An unforgettable evening of stories, memories, and behind-the-scenes moments with Merrill Reese and special appearances from some of your favorite players and more. Merrill Live at the Scottish Rite Auditorium, Tuesday, September 15th. Get your tickets now at 94WIP.com. Presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865. And Impriano Roofing and Siding. The best homes have an Impriano roof.
250 years have gone into building this great nation. Iron, brick, and stone forming its foundations. Wires carrying the lifeblood of electricity. And pipes delivering the water to our cities. Behold the strength and scale of American infrastructure. But it only takes a minute for some uninformed homeowner with a shovel to shut it all down. Electricity off. Running water non-existent. And that sewage ain't going nowhere now. Gee, thanks, Bill. Know what's below. And contact PA1 Call before you dig. Visit PA1Call.org.
That'll be 5452.
Perfect. Grab the bags, honey.
Mom, why do you always check your phone before we pay?
I'm just claiming my cash back on the Upside app. Since we're getting a $10 bonus on groceries here and we filled up the car on the way, we already earned enough this morning to pay for some extra treats you can bring to school this week.
Wait, so the app pays for snacks?
Not exactly, but the cash I earn on stuff we need helps us pay for the stuff we want. It's just a little win for our family every week.
With Upside, you can earn cash back on your everyday essentials and back-to-school favorites. The free app also gets you cash back on routine purchases, like gas and dining out, at more than 100,000 locations nationwide. No points, no rebates, just cash back straight to your wallet. Download the free Upside app and use promo code CLASS10 to get a $10 bonus on your first purchase. That's promo code CLASS10 to get a $10 bonus. Remember, use promo code CLASS10.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Now, you can listen to Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to 1210 WPHT. This is Tom Azebly. I'm with Elliot Ackerman. He's a best-selling author. He's a Silver Star winner. He was a Marine lieutenant in Fallujah. He did 5 tours, and it's an honor to have him. Elliot, I'm going to move off the Abraham Lincoln, but one thing is for sure, this was a very long deployment for that aircraft carrier, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, they've been at sea now for more than 270 days. And I think, and without, the typical port calls that kind of, get you breaks during a deployment. And, one of the reasons for that is just given the threat in the area, threat of, drones and Iranian missiles, they've been unable to pull into the normal ports where they would. But yes, definitely a long deployment.
So would you, what perspective with your experience in the military, do you think these are a few squeaky wheels, or do you think this has got like a mutiny mentality out on that ship? How would you frame it? Like kind of what the sailors are feeling? Is it just a few disgruntled people who are talking to their parents online? What would be your take on that?
Well, obviously, I mean, it's difficult to say. I'm not on the Lincoln and don't have any great insight. And but you typically, these things kind of seem to probably be somewhere. The truth exists somewhere in the middle. That there's, I'd say, probably a vocal contingent of folks on the Lincoln who are upset, who are talking to family members, and there's media that's eager to amplify that story. But, it doesn't mean that parts of it aren't true or rooted in truth, which is that it's been a very, very long deployment. It's tough to resupply these ships sometimes. In those conditions, it's tough to have the type of, fruits and vegetables and, higher standards of living that you would want on a deployment that long, and that the crew and the leadership are, doing their best under a difficult situation. And that, and that's war.
Yeah, I was going to say, being in the military, especially in a combat zone, that no one knows it better than you. That's a grind, and it comes with a lot of discomfort. But I would think this too. You were an officer in the Marine Corps with modern technology, social media. I mean, that's a whole new level of management for officers, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I'm in many ways sort of grateful that my time in the Marine Corps sort of ended just as everyone was really coming online with social media. I mean, I left in 2011, but I think these days service members are connected even more than before. And I think that poses just challenges, challenges to just everybody being on the same sheet of music as to sort of what's going on and what the truth is. So I think that is, that's something the leadership has to contend with.
Yeah, it's a modern day challenge, no doubt about it. So, if we, I want to go. You did 5 tours, if you can. Where were your 5 tours?
They were all in Iraq and Afghanistan between
Iraq.
2004 and 2011.
And the Fallujah fighting, from what I've read in books, and I was kind of fascinated with that mission. And that's where you won your Silver Star. If you don't mind, but share the winning the Silver Star. I mean, that's a real big deal, as you know. How'd you win the Silver Star?
Well, I think one of the things that's complicated about Valor Awards, and I've written up many people for similar Valor Awards who receive them, is they only hand out those medals when things don't go according to plan. So many times you're being honored for something that could in some ways also be one of the worst days of your life. So in my case, I earned the Silver Star on a day during the Fallujah battle where our platoon basically got surrounded in a building. We had a number of wounded that day, and I had to evacuate some of the wounded, and wound up manning a machine gun on the rooftop of that building for a little while.
How long were you how long did that last? That kind of intense kind of firefight that you were in?
We were. The most intense fighting in Fallujah occurred over the first week of the assault, but the battle continued for a month, and there was fighting throughout that month. So all in that battle lasted about a month.
And the 5 tours, what tour did you win the Silver Star in? Of your
It was
5?
that was actually my first. No, it was my first deployment. So as a new lieutenant, so I checked into my unit in April, and I was in Iraq in June. And that battle happened in November, so it was sort of sink or swim on the job training when I showed up in the Marine Corps.
And did the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart, those other commendations you got, did they all come from that one day, or were they for different missions that you were on?
I earned a Purple Heart a few days after the incident around the Silver Star, which was also in Fallujah, and the Bronze Star I earned was in Afghanistan several years later in 2008.
Well, I'll say this. I appreciate you sharing it with me, and I can understand. That's probably what you probably like to talk about everything else, but that. But I think it's. I think people like to hear, like, how you win a Silver Star, what went on, and you gave them some feedback on that. So I really appreciate it. Now I want to. I want to start reading your books, quite frankly.
Thank you.
I want to give you a minute to talk about how you're a New York Times bestseller. Tell us about that book you wrote with the Admiral.
Oh, well, Admiral Jim Stavridis and I, he was he retired out of the military, and his last job was as the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, which is basically the military officer who heads NATO. And he and I actually had known each other before. And we had a shared editor, and he wanted to write a book. He was interested in writing a book that would imagine what it would be like if the U.S. and China went to war. And he and I teamed up to write that book, and it turned into a trilogy of books. So the first book was called 2034, which is about what would happen if the U.S. and China went to war. And the second book was 2054, and the last one, which came out this summer, was 2084. And each of the books imagines a singular challenge sort of facing humanity in this coming century. So peer level war in the first book. The second book is about the rise of artificial intelligence and how it affects our democracy. And the last book, 2084, is about changes in geography and the way artificial intelligence will affect warfare in the distant future. So we have had a lot of fun. It's been more than a 7-year project of us writing these books, and they're all works of speculative fiction, imagining these great challenges so that hopefully we can avoid them.
It sounds like two guys with with solid military backgrounds are wargaming what might happen. So what you're discussing is not some fiction. It's not Stephen King writing it. You are two military officers that are saying this is how we would see it if it happened. That makes for an interesting book.
It is, it's really us, trying to war game that out. The books are rooted in our, experience and our understanding of warfare, and they're kind of also rooted in this tradition. If we look back, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, there was this very rich tradition of Cold War literature and movies about, what it would look like if the U.S. and Soviet Union ever went to war. And those stories, in many ways, were they protected us because we were imagining how horrible the nuclear war would be. It actually helped us avoid it. And so I think with these books, we're looking at challenges that we're all facing in this coming century, and telling the stories around those challenges is a way to sort of avoid the worst outcome.
Elliot Ackerman, I want to thank you for coming on. And I'd go out and buy these books. Sounds like that's 2084, 2034, Sheepdogs. This is good stuff, written by former military people with plenty of knowledge. Elliot Ackerman, thank you for coming on the Tom Azebly Show. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-738-9900. That's 800-738-9900. 800-738-9900.
Joe Conklin hosts Comedy Night at Parks Casino on the third Thursday of every month in 360 Lounge. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
JoeConklin.com! Oh! That'll be 5452.
Perfect. Grab the bags, honey.
Mom, why do you always check your phone before we pay?
I'm just claiming my cash back on the Upside app. Since we're getting a $10 bonus on groceries here and we filled up the car on the way, we already earned enough this morning to pay for some extra treats you can bring to school this week.
Wait, so the app pays for snacks?
Not exactly, but the cash I earn on stuff we need helps us pay for the stuff we want. It's just a little win for our family every week.
With Upside, you can earn cash back on your everyday essentials and back-to-school favorites. The free app also gets you cash back on routine purchases, like gas and dining out, at more than 100,000 locations nationwide. No points, no rebates, just cash back straight to your wallet. Download the free Upside app and use promo code CLASS10 to get a $10 bonus on your first purchase. That's promo code CLASS10 to get a $10 bonus. Remember, use promo code CLASS10.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Don't make the same mistake that I did. I called my insurance company directly and they minimized my claim. Then I called Morano's Public Adjustment Group and they made sure I got paid top dollar. For all your insurance needs, call Morano's Public Adjustment Group at 445-247-8228. That's 445-247-8228. And tell them Mr. Tony sent you.
TurnersvilleJeep.com wants you to save big this month on their enormous selection of Jeeps and Ram trucks. Want to save thousands? How about up to 15% off MSRP on select Ram trucks? Prefer great financing rates? How about 2.9% for up to 72 months on select Jeep models? Don't have a down payment? How about no payments of 90 days for qualified buyers? Just minutes from all bridges or online 24/7 at TurnersvilleJeep.com. Again, that's TurnersvilleJeep.com.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Welcome back to 1210 WPHT. Tom Azebly here every Saturday, 8 to 9. I'm driving Sean Sereno, my producer, crazy today with my ADD brain. Sean, you want me out at 8:55 or 8:56? We're doing business now in front of our audience. Man. You got it. You got it. So now I can. I don't have a ton of time, so I was going to talk about Tucker Carlson's new party that he's forming. I was going to throw him under the bus and his friends, but I don't think I got enough time. I want to save that so I can do a deep dive on it. When I throw someone under the bus, I want to give a lot of background on it. The 5 biggest stories in the United States today, when you wake up this Saturday morning, August 22nd, I went over that the trade breakdown with Canada just broke down, and I said before, I hope we punish them. I'm not a big fan of Canada anymore, even though someone could say I'm half Canadian because my mother was Canadian. But I covered that earlier. I'm not going to cover it again. Another big story was the Straits of Hormuz. President Trump states he views the Straits of Hormuz as American territory. I've been fascinated about that strait, the Strait of Hormuz, that island in Karg Island or whatever, and I've had guests on. I'm going to probably revisit that because I know that's a strategic option over there. I don't know what's going to go on. There's so much coming out of Iran that we're not going to spend any time. But I will spend time on the White House ballroom. The Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts is allowing construction to continue. Now you would say, well, how could one Supreme Court justice do this? Okay, so other courts have, kind of tried to shut down the work. The Supreme Court Justice Roberts, as the chief, he can step in and say everything can continue until we're able to bring it in front of the full court, all 9 justices. When that will be, I'm not sure. But for now, he stepped in and said, listen, you're not shutting it down for now. We're going to take a look at it in the future, but for now, I'm allowing it to continue. That 65% of it has already been built. Typical Democrat move. Here I'm saying we got to be nice and everything. And, when I had our great guest on there, but I'm going to go after them for this. Only Democrats, when something is 65% built, this is with a big price tag, hundreds of millions of dollars, 67% came from private donations. The security stuff that has to go into the building, that's what the taxpayer and the government is paying for. But 67% are private donations, and Democrats want to shut it down. They have no economic sense. They couldn't run a 7-Eleven, all of them, if you put them together. But it's continuing, and that's good. And Democrats, if they happen to win the next election or whatever, they'll be dancing in that ballroom and having cocktails and be so happy Donald Trump built them that ballroom. Mark my words, they'll love it. But for now, they will create a catastrophe at a very important historic building by stopping the ballroom being built. And listen, the White House has had additions and changes, and Obama built a basketball court. But why you would want to stop a project that's 65% done in the middle of construction and let everything fall apart? Because that's what happens. When you see a house 65% built and they stop building it, it sits out in the rain, it gets destroyed. What a dumb idea, and what an eyesore they would allow to happen. But anyway, Chief Justice Roberts did a good job on that. That's it for the show. I had more news, but I'll get to you next week, 8 to 9 on the Tom Azebly Show. And tonight on this week in music history, 1900, 1905, I don't know what Phil's thinking, but that's his tease right there. So listen in tonight. I'll see you next week. Tom Azebly Show.